and right now in Singapore we're at about 15 points of sale. But there's also a lot of technicalities behind it that some people overlook.
Hello, you're watching the Chill MomBoss, where we believe your MomBoss goal is possible with a little bit of determination and the right strategies. Today at our MomBoss Spotlight, I have Suhana with me. She is the founder and creative director of Maison Q, a homegrown kids label, specializes in reversible apparels. She was an editor at a luxury lifestyle magazine for 10 years, which she left a job she loved to build something she called her own. She's also a mom of 2 kids, Arisa and Omar.
Yes.
Okay, so interesting. I'd like to know when did you like make the jump from having a job that you love and decided this is it, I need to leave this and start something of my own?
It took a really long time to make the decision because I was an editor for 10 years.
Yeah.
Like, I had a luxury lifestyle magazine. I really loved my job. The people I met, my bosses were really nice people. They gave me opportunities. So it was over a course of time. Like maybe I pondered a bit about a year. I started doing it on the sides. And then after that, but it was not very active. And then one time I decided that okay, if I wanted to do something for myself, I would have to go now. So I left my job, but I was serving as a contributing editor for maybe about 6 months or so, and I still did part-time gigs for them. But I eventually left in November 2017, sorry.
Oh, okay.
November 2017. Yeah, I will still keep in touch and all that. So yeah, because if I were to make anything of it, it would have to be full-time.
Right.
My husband likes to say, if you want to earn full-time money, you have to give it full-time.
That's true. Yeah. Yes.
So that's when I left, and then it was during my maternity leave that I started meeting retailers. Our very first retailer was Mother's World. So we met with the owner, and then we explained to her, the concept of the clothes and all that. And she took us in. So that was our first point of sale. And slowly after that, we grew to all the stores, and then we went to department stores. And right now in Singapore, we're at about 15 points of sale.
Wow.
Which includes the Singapore Zoo, River Safari, and most recently Night Safari in Jurong Bird Park.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's how we grew. Because if I was still in my editorial job, I don't think I could have achieved all this because I wouldn't have had the time.
Yeah, the time and effort and the brain power at the end of the workday, right?
Exactly.
So while you're working, right, at what point when you're working that you have this idea of, I need a kids label that's...
Well, of course, when I became a mom,
Yeah.
my daughter was born in 2013, maybe about 1 year down.
Yeah.
I mean, being in an editorial environment, I was exposed to a lot of beautiful brands. I'm not a fashion person, but I'm exposed to it. I go to events, I look at it, I enjoy it, I consume it, and I was thinking like, how do I apply this to my kids? When children come along, a lot of moms these days, we like to dress the kids up,
Yes.
and maybe perhaps mini version of ourselves, or perhaps just to have fun with them.
Yeah.
So our kids, I think they start having opinions when they're a bit older. So when they're younger, you can like deck them out in what you want. You
Yes,
can put
that's
hats,
true.
hairbands, and all of them. So that's when I thought like, okay, what if I could design clothes for my daughter? So that's when we started, and that was also when the OOTD culture started to become really popular, and the twinning culture with mom and kids. Yeah, and so that was I think about 2016, 2017, around there. So that was when I decided, okay, let's do it. And because I feel like, because they grew up so fast, how could I give more mileage to these clothes? And hence we came upon the concept of reversible clothes, and we made it our own.
Interesting. But like you said, you are not a fashion person, but you knew like where to go to like the tailor and like how do you even come up, like how do you even make clothes, right?
Okay, the journey, well, it was a bit tricky. Well, my husband runs a modest wear brand together with our cousin. So I guess that kind of helped a little bit. He has his own team in Indonesia, so that's when we started experimenting with cuts, silhouettes, dresses, prints. And then as we grew, we used to buy stuff from suppliers. But now that we're bigger, we started to design our own prints, which is something I'm really happy about. I have 2 designers in the office, so they're really very helpful. They're young, the millennials, but they're really good at what they do.
Yeah.
And they do prints for us. They execute what I can't.
Oh.
Like, I mean, I have these ideas in my head, but I don't have the talent to draw or bring something to life.
Yeah.
So they're really very helpful.
So they could bring your vision to life.
Yes.
Just need to communicate that to them.
Yeah, that's the right way to say it. Yeah.
Right. That's amazing. Okay, because like I'm not a creative person as well, so I'm always in awe of people who could design or come up with fashion brand, and when you say you are also not a fashion person, I'm like really curious, how did you get it done? So I guess if there's a will, there's a way, right? You just find ways to find people.
The technicalities is the part that's a bit tough. You have grand ideas, but to executing it, I think you need the right team.
I see. And I like the audience to like get to know you a bit more. How were you like as a little girl? Did you think when Suhana was a little girl, did you think that she has always wanted to be a boss of her own?
I don't think that really quite crossed my mind when I was a kid. I think when I was a kid, I read a lot. I wanted to be an author, and I wrote little stories and things like that, which explains why I became a journalist in the end. But I also love creative things, and I think at 17 I interned at a teenage magazine.
I see.
Yeah, so that was that was my first exposure actually to fashion. I used to be the stylist's assistant, so I would go out and source for things, carry huge bags of like clothes, and I think
just
that was
to put together.
Yes, correct.
Things, right?
I mean, way before social media blew up, that was so I would go to like maybe in a day 50 stores perhaps. I don't know how I did it though. I remember walking around Far East, Far East was really hot.
Right.
So many stores, it would borrow stuff and put things together. So that was
that must have been really fun job for like a 16, 17-year-old, right?
Yeah, I think maybe I was about 20 maybe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that was tiring, but it was really fun, and I was really grateful for the opportunity. But the magazine doesn't exist now anymore, but it really holds memories for me. Yeah. So that was my first exposure to fashion.
I see.
So as a kid, more writing, and then suddenly,
Yeah, sometimes you don't know where you end up. Just like a vague idea of what you want to do. Awesome. And so you've been in business about full-time, close to 2 years now.
2015, full-time, about 2 years.
Wow.
About 2 years.
So how did you get from an online business first to 15 stockists now? So do you like knock on doors?
Yes. I tried one of the biggest department stores in Singapore. That was really my
the first one. You just go.
Yeah,
biggest
the first one we
store.
emailed and then we communicated. And then Michelle, for me it was a bit of kind of tables turn, because I was an editor before, and brands would come and show us the stuff, pitch to us, and then whether we like it or not. But now it was the other way around. So it was kind of like eating humble pie. You might say so. So it's like okay.
This is not easy.
No. So you have to the way you present yourself, and then what you say about your brand, and how you communicate, how you negotiate. I like to negotiate in this line. Yeah. So our first department store, and then there was another department store that I really wanted to get into. I went to the counters. I stalked all the cashiers. And sometimes cashiers are not very friendly. They like wave you off. But you just have to have a very thick skin. So I managed to get the contact and an email, but nobody replied. I asked people who were connected to the managers, also no reply. So eventually, I think one of my friends from my old network helped to pull some calls, and then but she said, I can only get you through the door, and the rest is up to you, which is true.
Of course.
Yeah, and that was when we started with pop-ups, and then I think we did pretty okay, and then we got permanent space, and it's our flagship today.
Oh, cool. And where's that at?
Taka.
Oh, wow.
So that was something
well done.
Yeah, you just have to sit outside and things
Correct,
like that. I
yeah.
did it again when we went to Malaysia last year. We're trying to get into this store called Happy Kiddo, and nobody would reply our emails, and nobody would pick up for calls.
Right.
So we sat outside the office.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Because
just wait until someone have a slot for you.
I was in KL, and then we were like, okay, let's just go to the head office and wait. And then the next day her secretary called, and then we went to see her. So I guess sometimes
perseverance, and knowing that
for me, I had to teach whatever things I knew, from before, like you have to do things by appointments. Sometimes you just have to do it a bit unconventional.
Yeah, to get the attention, because people are busy.
And also because it's so concentrated, and so many people want to get into their stores. So how do you get around it.
Yeah, correct. How to get the attention,
Yeah.
like really present it in front of them, and to get that opportunity, right?
Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I think that's like very inspirational.
Well, how kind it may be.
It is like, okay, to see, I think a lot of people, they want to do something and they're like, oh, what's the appropriate way to do something? What's the process to get into this big
It's not
department
easy.
store?
It's not
And
easy, I must
sometimes you kind of have to like bend the rules a little bit and just sheer perseverance and just go for it. And you never know, right? Yeah, you gotta try. So thank you so much for sharing that. So from when you first have the idea to when you launch online, how long did it take for you to make your first sale?
Okay, one thing good for us, we never took loans or things like that. Everything was based out of my savings.
Yeah.
So I think first of online sale, we made a few sales because it wasn't full time yet, right? So as we progressed on, maybe after going on full time, I mean, we made money every month.
Yeah, correct.
Every month, and we were fortunate enough never to be in the negative.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's also money management. My husband is
Correct.
also my business partner.
Right.
So he manages things that I don't really.
Oh, okay.
Not good at it, like say like finance and operations. He handles that part.
Okay.
Yeah, so he has my back. So I mean, good job so far.
That's good. Yeah, that's good. That's good to have someone to take some load off you and like to look after those things that you probably not quite interested in.
One thing I'm probably
good at.
stress is like margins. I think one thing that we've always looked at is like margins, because sometimes people. We run an ethical business. We have a team and we want to be fair to them. We pay them fair, fair wages.
Yeah.
And the fabrics we use are all 100% cotton. So there is a cost that comes to them.
Of course.
So from then on, we calculated our margins. And then of course, people sometimes they forget that when you work with department stores or retailers, they take quite a bit of
30-40%?
Yeah, thereabouts from your retail price. So I think when you start a business, I think that's the kind of things that you really have to think about. Some people overlook that part.
Correct.
And then at the end of the day, when they come back and count,
it's like, oh my God,
what they have, is it really worth doing? So that's what I really learned. I really learned from the start. So I think from the get-go, we already had that set. So I think like turning in the first dollar was maybe a year into the business or so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and you did not jump immediately. Like at least you still have your full-time job at that point too.
Yeah, at that point. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. And any if you were to like do this all over again, right? What would you do differently?
Don't do business with your husband.
But you just said it was good that he looked after all that.
Yeah,
okay, so what happened there?
But it can also be tough, because we see each other all the time. We're in the office together, we're home together, we raise kids together, and both of us are very strong personalities. So sometimes we get into heated debates. But I know at the end of the day he has my back, and he will not be like taking my money away somewhere, right? So that's a good thing. Yeah. But I think you have to set boundaries. It's difficult. So now we've banned the topic of work at home completely. Because
how do you do that?
It's really difficult. But we're like, okay, not
okay.
here. We go to the office. So even on weekends, for example, if we had to complete work, we will go to the office. Yeah, because my kids are at home, so I think it's not good for them to also see us maybe like, we're not fighting, but we're bickering about work and all that. So that's a rule that we apply. No talk at home. I mean, it's difficult. We do sometimes, but we try not to do it so much. Yeah, and another advice is probably if you go into the clothes business, get your sizing right. Because out there, sizing different brands have different sizes,
right? Especially for kids as well.
Yes, exactly. So I learned that the hard way. There was, I think, in my first year we do capsule collections. I got all the skirts too short. It was quite a disaster. Maz was so pissed with me, and we had to do another run of skirts.
So what did you do with the first round?
The first round, we had to take out the labels and move them a size
up.
But
that
was tough.
That was tough, yeah.
Because at the beginning we didn't have much manpower, so practically did everything ourselves. Yeah, so sizing, do your research, do your sizing, like American brands, UK brands, local brands, they have different sizing, so maybe come to one that works for you. We're still coming to that. We're slowly trying to adjust that.
Okay,
so
at least there's something that's more universal.
Yes,
sort of.
thereabouts, yeah. Because sometimes people think like...
And different supplier will have different sizing of their own as well, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Sometimes the length and all that, so there's no standard size. Maybe for women's it might be a bit better, like a bit more universal, but kids, oh my god, it's all over. Yeah, so that was a tough.
Someone who's looking
pay
into
attention
starting
to
kids fashion should look into.
Because if you already, commission an entire dress and the sizes are wrong, then
it's tough, right?
It would be quite,
Yeah, then you just need to I don't know, do you move it up in terms of... No, because once people are used to a certain size, then they expect the right size for the next collection.
And then for kids fashion is because kids grow so differently.
Yeah.
So maybe a 7-year-old might be wearing... I have a 7-year-old wearing, a 5-year-old. It really depends on
the height and
and how they're
and mine always have the problem of being too short because they're tall but they're skinny, so they're tall here and here. It's lots of gap.
Quite a fair because it just grows so differently, so it gets a bit complicated. Because some people think okay, fashion business, we want to do pretty things, but there's also a lot of technicalities behind it that some people overlook, in terms of sizing, fabric, cost, and things like that. So you really have to take this into consideration, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright. Before we start the interview, you share with me you travel a lot, and that you and your husband also make a point to take time out and to travel by yourself. How do you do that? Oh my god, I've been a parent for almost 7 years now, and I've never had a one-to-one on one trip with my husband.
I used to joke that we're serial runaway parents.
So how do you do that? Do you have a good support at home?
Yes, I'm quite fortunate. My parents always look after my kids when I'm away, and they adore my kids, spoil them. In fact, that's the only time they have the iPad. So
so your kids are yes, parents are away.
Yeah. And then I also have my husband and siblings who always watch out for our kids. My parents-in-law, they always pop in, check on the kids. So we have a good network. I have a good helper. A good helper is very hard to find, so I'm clinging on to her for dear life.
Yes, a good helper. Yes.
Yeah. So that's my support network. I mean, it's easier said than done. I mean, before my kids, I used to travel every year, maybe 2 weeks in a year. We'll be completely away just by ourselves. But with kids, it's admittedly less, but we still do it. But this year is an exception. We've been away for trade shows.
Yeah.
And then that's
because you're trying to grow overseas and present the brand to.
I mean, I try to my daughter is older, so she's more emotional. So I try to explain to her that we're trying to find more ways to grow the brand. I mean, she understands.
She gets a little bit.
7-year-old, she's very in tune with her emotions. So she's very upset to hear that we're going away. And even though it's just 8 days, to her it's quite long. So I understand. So I mean, sometimes I kind of cave in and promise her we'll go trip to Toys R Us. I mean, I know sometimes it's not a good thing, but
we do that too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking
at least something for her to look forward to when you get back.
Make her a little happy. Some people tell me, you shouldn't compensate, you should just deal with it. But they're children.
Yeah, they're children.
So it's okay. I mean,
it's natural that they want mommy, right? It would be really sad if it's just okay, just go.
Yeah.
It's good that they still want you.
So I always promise, okay, we'll go Toys R Us, we'll have waffles when we come back. I'll spend, I think they want time with us, right?
Yes.
So that's what I also promised, okay, well, just you and me, no daddy, no Omar, her brother, and then we'll go have sushi. She loves sushi.
Oh.
Yeah, so these little small dates.
Yeah.
I mean, I have to do what I have to do.
Yeah.
But I just have to explain to her, I suppose. I think when my son's older, he might be the same, maybe. Or maybe he'll be more, with stuff.
Well, he can be daddy's boy, and daddy would do the one-on-one date with him.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
So, I guess you have to do what you have to do.
Okay, yeah. And when you're in town, when you're in Singapore, what's your typical day like?
Okay, in the mornings I have breakfast with my kids. Sometimes I send them off to school, and then after I'll get into the office maybe about 10:30, sometimes early 9:30, and then we'll do work to discuss designs, prints, and things like that. We're trying to work ahead of time now.
Okay.
We used to be always working on such a short time frame and just pressurizing the whole team. So now we're trying to work a year ahead.
Oh, okay, wow.
Like projecting 2021 or 2020, 2021, and then in the afternoon sometimes I catch up with friends or industry people, coffee, lunch. Because now I have the freedom of time. Because at night usually I try not to go out so much. This is the mom life.
Yeah.
Because I want to go home and spend time with the kids.
Correct. Have dinner, put them to bed.
Yes, correct. So I try to meet people like my friends. I mean, they work in the office, so do 1 hour lunch. So I'll go to where they are and catch up with them. Have a laugh and then go back.
Yeah, need that, right? Kind of like take ourselves out of work, out of being a mom, and just be with our friends and just.
I think what's great about running your own, business is your flexibility of time.
Yeah.
And you have a good team to help you. I mean, you come in and do all the things that you need to do, and then you can tap out for a bit and just do stuff of your own. And come back. And sometimes maybe 2 months once I'll go to Jakarta. That's where our workshop is. So just to check in on the team, on the tailors and things like that. And meet my suppliers over there too.
Great.
My life's my daily routine is quite boring.
I think to a lot of moms who are either thinking of starting a business or currently in a business, but moms, we try to take on a lot, right? Pile a lot on our plates. And so what's the one advice that you would give mompreneurs out there in terms of like balancing so many things on your plate, and especially with growing a brand?
That's really quite challenging because I also, you see your kids, kids are so important to you. Yeah, so what I would say is,
if you can share just one thing, what would you say? What's the parting message that you would like to give our audience?
Maybe always have time for yourself. If you take care of yourself, then the rest will fall into place.
That's true.
Because I find that when you're happy and in a good place, everything, you tend to make better decisions, and you tend to be more patient with your kids. Yeah,
I agree with that. Like you can't pour from an empty vase.
Yeah, correct. I mean, even if it's just an hour a day, 1 hour of Netflix, I think as long as you're happy, I think the rest will follow.
That's true. All right. Thank you so much for being here, Suhana.
Thanks for having me.
Is there anything else you'd like to share with us?
No.
No, that's it? Okay, that's it. Thank you very much for watching. And if you like this episode, please share it with your friends. And do check out Suhana's fashion label. It's called Maison Q online and at 15 stockists. And the major one would be at Takashimaya. Bye-bye.